The night was quiet, but a sense of urgency filled the air. Homes were calm, unaware of the unseen forces moving silently across the world. The Virgin Mary had sent a message, one so crucial that ignoring it could put families in grave danger. "Place this on your window before sleep," she whispered, "and protect what is most sacred." The warning was clear. The night of October 22nd, 2025 was unlike any other. Those who ignored it would face unexpected trials, while those who acted would discover an invisible shield of protection surrounding their homes. In small towns and cities, people began to feel a strange energy, a cold breeze, shadows moving oddly, and a faint hum in the air. It was the first sign that the world was entering a critical moment. The Virgin's words echoed in hearts. "Do not delay. Protect your family. Light your candles, pray with intention, and place the blessed seal where it can be seen." Maria, a mother from Guadalajara, felt a chill as she opened the window. She remembered the Virgin's message and immediately placed a small seal on the glass, whispering a prayer she barely understood but trusted deeply. That night she felt a warmth that seemed to push back the shadows, as if a protective force had enveloped her family. In Buenos Aires, families gathered in their living rooms, each person holding a candle. Though thousands of miles apart, there was an invisible connection forming between households. It was as if the Virgin's message was not just for one family, but a global network of believers. "The seal is not just paper or ink," a voice whispered in the wind. "It is faith, action, and devotion manifesting as protection." But darkness never rests. It prowled around those who ignored the message, seeking hesitation, doubt, or disbelief. A faint knock at the door, a sudden shadow crossing the hallway, a chilling breeze. These were the tests the night presented. In Lima, a father named Jorge hesitated, unsure if the message was real or a dream. The shadow seemed to linger longer in his hallway, testing his faith. Finally, he placed the seal on his window, and a strange glow radiated from it, filling the room with an invisible shield. "It works," Jorge whispered, tears streaming down his face. "The Virgin is truly protecting us." The Virgin's message was simple, yet profound. Faith must be active. A passive heart will not be enough. Protect your family now, do not wait. Even as night deepened, those who obeyed the message felt a growing sense of security. They didn't know exactly how the protection worked, only that obedience and devotion created an invisible force that darkness could not breach. Meanwhile, those who ignored it experienced anxiety, restlessness, and a creeping sense of fear. It was as if the world itself was reminding them, actions have consequences, and timing is crucial. The first 30 minutes of the night became a critical test of faith. Did they trust the Virgin's instructions? Did they act quickly to protect their family? Could they resist the temptation to ignore the warning, thinking it was just another story? Across Latin America, the same scenes unfolded. Families placing seals, whispering prayers, lighting candles. Shadows receding where faith was active. Darkness lingering, probing, testing hesitation. By midnight, the invisible shield began to expand beyond individual homes. Neighbors who acted in faith unknowingly connected their protective energy, forming a web of light across entire neighborhoods. The first signs of the Virgin's miraculous intervention were visible only to those with faith. A soft glow, a calm presence, a feeling of safety in the storm. As the night progressed, it became clear this was only the beginning. The Virgin had set events into motion that would continue over the following hours, testing faith, strengthening connections, and preparing the world for what was to come. The world will face moments of fear, the Virgin's message whispered through the wind, but those who act with devotion will see the power of faith manifest. Protect your loved ones. Place the seal. Pray. Do not hesitate. The night deepened, and with it, the presence of unseen forces. Across the United States, homes were calm on the surface, but a strange energy pressed against walls and doors, testing the strength of each family's faith. In New York City, shadows moved differently than usual, stretching unnaturally and whispering faintly, as if assessing which homes were prepared. Those who had placed the seal on their windows felt a subtle warmth, like a protective barrier had formed around them, keeping fear at bay. "It's as if the night itself responds to faith," a mother whispered to her children. "We are safe because we acted." But the test was not only physical, it was spiritual and emotional. The shadows sought hesitation, doubt, and distraction. A single unspoken fear, a moment of impatience, or even skepticism could weaken the protective shield, allowing darkness to creep inside. In Los Angeles, a teenager named Emily felt her confidence waver. She had placed the seal, but her mind was filled with worry. What if this is not real? Immediately, a cold draft passed through her room, and the shadows seemed to pause at her window, testing her resolve. "I must trust," she whispered, and the glow from the seal intensified, repelling the darkness and reminding her that faith alone creates protection. Across Chicago, families who had gathered for prayer felt the same invisible force. Candles flickered, not because of the wind, but as if divine energy responded to the strength of their devotion. Every whispered prayer amplified the protective energy, connecting homes and hearts in a web of light the shadows could not penetrate. Yet, those who ignored the warning felt immediate pressure. Unease crept into their rooms, doors slammed mysteriously, and a sense of dread filled the air. The message from the Virgin had been clear, but hesitation allowed the darkness to probe further. "Faith must act swiftly," the whispers of the night warned. "Delays can cost more than you imagine." In Houston, a father named Michael realized he had been slow to place the seal. The shadows lingered, testing his household's defenses. He hurried, repeating the prayers aloud, placing the seal on his window with urgency. The instant he completed the act, a sense of calm and warmth filled the room, as if the Virgin herself had intervened. The night revealed one undeniable truth. Faith is not passive. It requires immediate action, full attention, and unwavering belief. Even a small act of devotion creates a ripple effect, forming a shield that protects not just one home, but the surrounding neighborhood. Families across the United States began to notice subtle miracles. Pets that had been restless suddenly lay down quietly. Children slept peacefully despite strange noises in the night. Windows facing the streets radiated a faint glow, visible only to those who believed. The shadows adapted, moving in more cunning ways, persistent and patient, testing every small lapse in vigilance. But the Virgin's message was already at work, empowering believers with an invisible force that could not be destroyed. In Seattle, parents whispered to their children, "Do not fear. The Virgin is watching. She protects those who act with faith." And yet, the tension remained. The night was far from over, and the shadows were only beginning to reveal their full power. Every household had a choice: maintain faith, act with urgency, and trust the guidance, or falter and face the consequences of hesitation. By the end of the second hour, it was clear. The night was alive with spiritual tests. Invisible forces pressed against every home, seeking cracks in belief. Those who remained steadfast felt the shield grow stronger, a tangible sense of safety almost palpable. "Faith connects us all," the whispers seemed to say. "Every prayer strengthens another. Every act of devotion becomes a defense." As the night continued, something extraordinary began to unfold. Homes that had followed the Virgin's instructions radiated an invisible light, a glow that seemed to flow outward, touching streets, neighborhoods, and even entire blocks. In New York, families noticed small but undeniable miracles. Candles flickered in perfect unison, as if responding to prayers whispered across the city. "It's more than just protection," whispered a mother holding her baby. "It's a sign that faith can move the unseen." In Miami, the streets were quiet, but those who had acted on the message felt a peace that could not be explained by reason alone. Cars stopped in traffic without cause, animals remained calm, and a warmth seemed to hover over homes where devotion was active. It was clear. The Virgin's intervention was real, powerful, and ongoing. Across Los Angeles, teenagers and parents alike reported feelings of awe and reassurance. Soft glows appeared in windows, and strange but comforting breezes passed through rooms, brushing against faces like a gentle caress. Even skeptics could feel it, a presence that demanded attention, a force that could not be ignored. The miracles were subtle but undeniable. Pets that had been restless lay quietly sensing protection. Lights flickered at precise moments, marking the path of divine energy. Families who had gathered for prayer felt a warmth that seemed to extend beyond their walls, connecting them invisibly to other believers. In Chicago, a father named Thomas noticed that his children, who had been anxious all week, now slept peacefully. The shadows that had tested their home earlier retreated, unable to breach the shield created by faith and devotion. "It's like the world itself is responding," Thomas whispered. "I've never felt anything like this. We are safe, truly safe." The Virgin's message became clearer with every passing hour. Faith produces tangible results when paired with action. It was no longer a theory, no longer a distant warning. It was happening now, in real time, across multiple states. Families began to realize that protection was not just for themselves, but for their neighbors too. The act of placing the seal, praying with intention, and believing created a network of defense that extended far beyond individual homes. In Houston, even those who had not yet acted felt a faint sense of relief, as if the collective faith of others shielded them temporarily, urging them to participate. In Seattle, Emily looked out her window and saw a subtle glow in neighboring homes. She realized that faith was contagious and that each act of devotion amplified the protection for everyone around. Yet the Virgin's message carried a warning. This network of light is fragile. Even one lapse in belief, one act of hesitation, could allow shadows to return. "Stay vigilant," the whispers warned. "The darkness will test you again, and only those steadfast in faith will prevail." Across the nation, miracles continued to unfold. Families who had followed the instructions reported inexplicable peace. Children who were fearful felt calm. Pets who had been restless now rested without worry. But the night was not over, and the shadows were still active, seeking any sign of doubt. The message was clear. Protection required continuous faith, devotion, and vigilance. Every act of prayer strengthened the shield, and every moment of hesitation weakened it. By the end of the third hour, believers began to feel an almost tangible connection to each other. The glowing energy from countless windows across cities created a network that even the shadows could not penetrate. It was proof. Faith, when acted upon, can produce real, measurable protection. "The world will witness signs tonight," the whispers seemed to say. "Those who follow the path of devotion will see miracles. Those who doubt may see only fear." The night had already stretched deep into the hours when the first real test arrived. Across the United States, invisible forces intensified, pressing harder against the homes of those who had not fully committed to the Virgin's instructions. The shadows were no longer subtle. They moved boldly, probing every hesitation, fear, and doubt. In New York City, a family who had only partially placed the seal felt the chill instantly. Doors rattled, as if the house itself were warning them. The youngest child began to cry, sensing the unseen presence. "We must act now," whispered the mother, urgency breaking through fear. She completed the protective seal and recited the prayer exactly as instructed. Immediately, a warm glow filled the room, pushing back the darkness and restoring peace. In Los Angeles, Emily and her neighbors felt a surge of strange energy outside. The streets seemed darker than normal, the shadows longer, and the air heavy with tension. Those who hesitated felt anxiety creeping into their hearts, while those who acted faithfully experienced an inexplicable calm and certainty. Across Houston, the night's tests became more intense. Windows slammed, lights flickered, and mysterious sounds echoed through hallways. Parents whispered prayers, children clung to them, and the glow from their seals grew brighter, forming an invisible protective shield. "It's real," a father muttered. "I've never felt anything like this. We are truly protected, but only because we acted." The Virgin's message echoed through every corner of the night. Faith must be active, not passive. Every hesitation gave darkness a chance. Every act of devotion strengthened the shield. "Do not falter," the whispers warned. "Every moment counts. Protect your family and act immediately." In Chicago, a teenager named Jacob doubted for a moment. He had placed the seal, but his mind wandered to fear and skepticism. The shadows paused at his window, lingering as if waiting for him to fail. "Trust the Virgin," he whispered urgently. The glow returned stronger than before, enveloping his home in a warm, protective light. The night revealed a powerful truth. Spiritual tests are relentless. Those who act with faith experience protection. Those who hesitate or doubt invite fear into their homes. In Miami, families began to notice that miracles were intensifying. Pets that had been restless now slept calmly. Children who had been fearful experienced comfort in the arms of their parents. Even the wind seemed to whisper prayers back to the faithful, carrying blessings across neighborhoods. In Seattle, Emily realized that every act of devotion, every prayer, every candle, every seal was part of a network of protection. The Virgin's message wasn't just for one family, it was for all believers connected by faith. Yet, the shadows continued their relentless tests. They were patient, clever, and persistent, looking for the slightest moment of doubt. "Remain vigilant," the whispers cautioned. "Even the smallest hesitation can allow darkness to return." By the fourth hour, it was clear. Faith alone was not enough. It had to be combined with action, urgency, and devotion. The night was alive with invisible tests, each one a reminder that October 22nd, 2025 was no ordinary night. As the night moved deeper into the early hours, the first visible signs of the Virgin's protection began to appear. Across the United States, believers began to notice subtle but undeniable miracles in their homes and neighborhoods. In New York City, streetlights flickered in synchrony with candles placed on windows. Neighbors looked at each other with wide eyes, sensing that something extraordinary was happening. "It's not just a feeling," whispered a mother holding her child. "I can see it. The signs are everywhere." In Los Angeles, Emily saw faint glows on neighboring windows, each one resonating with the light from her own home. It was as if faith itself was creating a network of protection across the city, connecting homes, families, and hearts invisibly. The shadows, persistent though they were, could not penetrate this growing web of light. Across Houston, families witnessed small yet profound miracles. Windows that had been rattling suddenly stabilized, as if held by an unseen force. Pets, previously restless and anxious, lay calmly at the feet of their owners. Children who had been fearful experienced an inexplicable sense of security, sleeping peacefully. The Virgin's message was becoming undeniable. Faith, when paired with action, produces tangible results. It was no longer a warning. It was a living, breathing reality. "This is real," a father whispered, tears in his eyes. "We are truly protected, and the miracles are proof." In Chicago, Jacob noticed something remarkable outside his window. The night sky seemed to shimmer faintly, a soft glow falling across rooftops, street corners, and parks. It was subtle but unmistakable, a visible manifestation of divine intervention, responding to every prayer, every act of devotion. Even those who had been hesitant began to act. In Miami, parents rushed to place seals on windows, light candles, and recite prayers they had previously ignored. The moment they acted, a calm warmth enveloped their homes, signaling that faith combined with action could turn fear into protection. Meanwhile, the shadows adjusted, moving with intelligence and patience, testing each household again. But the miracles continued. Streetlights aligned with the glow from windows, marking neighborhoods filled with devotion. Strange winds carried whispers of prayer from home to home, reinforcing the invisible shields. A quiet sense of awe spread through families, connecting them spiritually across cities. In Seattle, Emily realized that every act of faith not only protected her home, but strengthened the defenses of others around her. The Virgin's message was no longer just an instruction, it was a call to collective devotion, a reminder that every prayer, every seal, every candle contributed to a network of protection. Yet even amid the miracles, the warning persisted. The darkness was patient, persistent, and calculating. Those who faltered would feel the pressure return, stronger than before. "Do not rest yet," the whispers cautioned. "The night has only begun. Every moment of faith matters." By the 5th hour, the night had transformed into a battlefield of faith and shadows. Miracles were visible, protection was tangible, but the test was far from over. The Virgin's message echoed in every heart. Do not hesitate, act now, and trust completely. As the night stretched toward its deepest hours, the invisible tests grew fiercer. Across the United States, shadows intensified, probing every hesitation, every moment of doubt, and every wavering thought. Faith was no longer a quiet act. It was a battle against forces unseen, relentless, and intelligent. In New York City, families felt the pressure immediately. Windows rattled violently, doors seemed to breathe with the night, and the air carried a chill that penetrated walls. Parents clutched their children, repeating the prayers aloud, while candles flickered as if alive, reinforcing a protective shield that shimmered invisibly around each home. In Los Angeles, Emily and her neighbors witnessed the shadows testing boundaries. They moved cunningly, slipping past weak defenses, attempting to invade any home where doubt lingered. "Do not falter," Emily whispered, gripping the seal on her window, and instantly a warmth spread through her room, pushing back the darkness. The protective glow intensified, a visible sign that faith, combined with action, was stronger than fear itself. Across Houston, the night seemed almost alive. Shadows stretched unnaturally long, merging with corners, under furniture and along walls. Families who had delayed their devotion felt anxiety creeping in, while those who acted faithfully experienced an almost tangible shield, a sanctuary that held the night at bay. In Chicago, Jacob realized something terrifying. The shadows adapt to hesitation. Even brief moments of doubt allowed them to press closer, whispering fears into the minds of believers. "Stay steadfast," he muttered, repeating the Virgin's prayer. The glow returned stronger than ever, illuminating his room and reinforcing the invisible web connecting homes across the city. The Virgin's warning became unmistakable. Faith must be immediate, continuous, and unwavering. The darkness was patient, clever, and relentless, waiting for the smallest lapse in devotion. "1 second of doubt can be enough," the whispers warned. "Act now, or risk exposing your family to forces unseen." In Miami, families began to notice miraculous signs intensifying. Candles burned brighter without fuel changes. Pets that had been anxious lay peacefully. Children slept soundly, wrapped in an unseen warmth. Every action of faith strengthened not only their home, but also homes miles away, forming an invisible network of protection across neighborhoods. Meanwhile, Seattle's night revealed another truth. Miracles are most visible where devotion is strongest. Emily looked out at her neighborhood and saw the faint glows on windows, flickering in unison, a visible sign that collective faith could hold back even the fiercest darkness. Yet, the night was far from over. The shadows adapted, becoming more patient, more cunning, testing every home, every prayer, and every act of devotion. "Do not rest," the whispers urged. "Even when the signs are clear, the trial continues. Only unwavering faith can endure until dawn." By the 6th hour, believers faced the harshest challenge yet. It was clear October 22nd, 2025 was no ordinary night. Every household, every candle, every prayer mattered. The invisible web of protection grew stronger with devotion, but could collapse in a single moment of hesitation. The darkest hours seemed endless. Across the United States, shadows pressed harder than ever, testing every ounce of devotion. But suddenly, a shift occurred, a turning point where faith itself began to fight back. In New York City, families who had acted with unwavering belief noticed the shadows faltering. The invisible pressures against windows and doors weakened as a warm, golden light began to emanate from homes. "Look!" a mother shouted, pointing at the glow. "It's not just protection, it's fighting back." In Los Angeles, Emily witnessed the glow spread from one home to another. The energy of collective faith created a network of light that the shadows could not penetrate. The darkness recoiled, retreating momentarily, giving families a sense of control for the first time during the night. Across Houston, miracles became undeniable. Candles burned brighter, without explanation. Shadows that had lingered along walls now recoiled at the presence of devotion. Children slept peacefully, while adults felt a deep reassurance, a warmth that enveloped the household. The Virgin's message was now clear. Faith, when acted upon with courage, can transform fear into power. Those who had been vigilant saw results immediately. The shadows struggled to find openings, slipping back wherever devotion was strongest. In Chicago, Jacob realized that his prayers were not just protecting his home, they were actively pushing back the darkness. The glow intensified, creating visible lines of light connecting his house to neighboring homes. "Faith is stronger than fear," he whispered. "Every prayer, every seal, it's working. We are not alone." Even hesitant families began to notice the shift. In Miami, parents who had acted only partially felt their homes respond as they finally completed the seals and prayers. The moment they did, the warmth and light returned, reinforcing the invisible network of protection across the city. In Seattle, Emily looked out at the neighborhood and realized miracles grow stronger when believers unite in devotion. The glow on windows flickered in unison, creating a network of protection visible only to those with faith. The shadows, relentless though they were, began to recede, struggling against the combined force of devotion. Yet, the Virgin's message carried a warning. This victory was temporary if faith faltered again. Even the faintest doubt or hesitation could allow darkness to return. "Remain vigilant," the whispers echoed. "Faith must continue, unwavering, until the night is complete." By the 7th hour, believers began to feel the first true sense of hope. Miracles were now undeniable, tangible, and visible. The shadows were no longer pressing successfully, and families felt the first real sense of control over the night. The night had reached its critical hour. Across the United States, the shadows gathered, as if aware that their final attempt to breach the faithful's homes was imminent. Every house that had acted with devotion felt the pressure increase. The last, most intense test of October 22nd, 2025. In New York City, windows rattled violently, doors slammed without cause, and an eerie chill filled rooms. Parents held their children close, reciting prayers with unwavering voices. "We cannot hesitate," a mother whispered, sweat on her brow. "Faith is our only shield now." In Los Angeles, Emily saw the shadows moving like waves, stretching along streets, trying to find cracks in protection. But the glow from her seal, amplified by collective devotion, repelled the darkness, creating a visible network of light along neighboring homes. Across Houston, miracles became spectacularly undeniable. Streetlights flickered in perfect rhythm with prayers. Pets remained calm despite the chaotic energy outside. Candles burned brighter, illuminating entire rooms with a warmth that chased shadows from every corner. In Chicago, Jacob realized that every small act of faith counted more than ever. A single hesitation could let the shadows in, but every prayer, every seal, every candle amplified the protective force. The glow spread across homes, connecting neighborhoods in a web of divine energy that no darkness could penetrate. The Virgin's message echoed powerfully in the hearts of believers. Faith acts as both shield and sword. Those who acted swiftly and continuously could withstand the night's final strike. Those who faltered faced the possibility of fear creeping back into their homes. In Miami, families reported signs so extraordinary they could hardly believe them. Shadows recoiled visibly, as if repelled by an unseen force. Windows radiated a faint but unmistakable glow. The air itself seemed charged with protection, a tangible warmth enveloping every believer. In Seattle, Emily looked out her window and saw the entire block illuminated with faint glows, flickering in unison. The network of faith was at its peak strength, repelling the shadow's last strike and reinforcing protection across the neighborhood. Yet, the Virgin's warning remained urgent. The night is long, and faith must endure until the final hour. Even with miracles visible, any lapse could undo the defense. Do not stop, the whispers urged. Even the strongest shield requires continuous devotion. By the 8th hour, believers experienced a profound truth. Faith, action, and unity create unstoppable protection. The shadows, fierce and relentless, could not penetrate the light generated by genuine devotion. As the night neared its final hours, a profound calm began to settle over the United States. The shadows, once relentless, started to retreat, their force weakened by the unwavering faith of countless believers. Every act of devotion, every prayer, candle, and seal had strengthened the invisible network of protection. In New York City, families looked out their windows and noticed something extraordinary. The glow of their homes extended beyond the streets, touching neighborhoods, connecting souls in a web of divine light. "It's incredible," whispered a mother, holding her child close. "We were never alone. Our faith united us all." In Los Angeles, Emily observed the transformation. The shadows that had threatened to breach homes were now scattered, powerless against the combined devotion of believers. The city seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, a subtle but undeniable sign that the Virgin's message had been fulfilled. Across Houston, miracles became undeniable and vivid. Lights flickered in perfect harmony with homes across the block. Children woke peacefully, smiling in their sleep as though comforted by an unseen presence. Families felt warmth fill every corner of their homes, a tangible manifestation of protection and hope. In Chicago, Jacob experienced an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The network of faith had not only protected his family, but had extended its reach, touching homes miles away. "Faith is stronger than fear," he said aloud, tears streaming down his face. "The Virgin has truly guided us through the darkness." Even those who had hesitated during the night felt the miraculous presence. In Miami, parents who had delayed their devotion now felt the power of their actions amplified, as if the cumulative faith of the community had compensated for hesitation. "It's never too late," a father whispered. "Act and protection will follow." In Seattle, Emily realized that this night would be remembered forever. The glowing web connecting neighborhoods, cities, and families was proof that collective faith creates miracles. The Virgin's warning had been clear. Only steadfast, active devotion could withstand the trials of the night. But now, the dawn approached, and the victory of faith was undeniable. Yet the Virgin's message carried one last warning for every believer. Faith must continue even after the night ends. Protection is strengthened by daily devotion, prayer, and unity. The events of October 22nd, 2025 serve as a reminder that the world is always tested, and only those who remain vigilant will thrive. The first rays of dawn slowly pierced the horizon, painting the skies across the United States in shades of gold and pink. The night that had tested every home, every heart, and every prayer was finally coming to an end. The shadows, once relentless and cunning, had retreated completely, unable to breach the homes of those who had acted with faith. In New York City, families opened their windows and felt the calm wash over them. The glow that had protected their homes throughout the night now lingered softly, a permanent sign of divine protection. "We made it," whispered a mother, holding her child tightly. "Our faith, our devotion, it kept us safe." In Los Angeles, Emily walked through her neighborhood, observing the faint residual glow on every window. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, yet it marked a network of protection connecting families, homes, and hearts across the city. "The Virgin's message is clear," she said softly. "Faith, action, and unity will always prevail." Across Houston, families celebrated quietly, aware that the miracles they had witnessed were proof that devotion transforms fear into protection. Candles continued to burn brightly, pets slept peacefully, and children woke with smiles, as if they had never been touched by the fear of the night. In Chicago, Jacob knelt in gratitude. The Virgin's guidance had been real, tangible, and life-saving. "Thank you," he whispered, tears streaming, "for my family, for our neighbors, for every soul that believed." In Miami, parents understood a profound truth. Protection is not a one-time act. Faith must be continuous, actions must be vigilant, and devotion must be unwavering. The events of October 22nd, 2025 were a reminder and a lesson for all believers. In Seattle, Emily and her neighbors gathered silently, reflecting on the night's trials and triumphs. They realized that every act of faith had contributed to a web of miracles, protection, and unity that stretched across neighborhoods, cities, and hearts. "This is only the beginning," a neighbor said. "The light we create together is eternal." The Virgin's voice, gentle yet powerful, echoed in the hearts of every believer. Protect your family with faith, devotion, and prayer. Unite in collective devotion to create a network of eternal protection. Darkness may rise again, but the light of faith is unstoppable. Virgin Mary, guide our hearts and homes. Protect our families from all fear, danger, and darkness. May our faith remain unwavering, our devotion steadfast, and our prayers unceasing. Let your eternal light shine upon us, and let our homes be sanctuaries of safety, hope, and divine love. We trust in your guidance, your protection, and your unending mercy. Amen. The night of October 22nd, 2025, had tested believers like never before. It revealed that faith combined with action, unity, and devotion is stronger than any darkness. And as the sun rose, the entire nation felt a renewed sense of hope, courage, and belief in miracles. The final thought lingered in every heart: remain vigilant, trust fully, protect your loved ones, and never forget the power of faith.